They laughed when the wagon tipped over, spilling hay and dust onto the uneven ground. The bride, Clara, tumbled ungracefully onto the dirt, her white dress stained and her cheeks burning red with humiliation. The guests at the small western chapel couldn't contain themselves. Some snickered behind hands, while others openly chuckled, whispering, "She'll never fit in here." Clara's heart sank. She had dreamed of this day for months, imagining herself elegant, admired, and loved. Instead, she lay on the ground, bruised and embarrassed, surrounded by stares and judgment. Tears threatened to spill from her eyes. Then strong hands reached down and lifted her gently. It was Rancher Cole, the man she had agreed to marry, the one everyone assumed would be embarrassed by her weight, the one who had quietly walked behind her when others laughed. "Clara," he said, his voice firm but tender, "you are not the problem here. The problem is people who think size can measure worth. You fell off a wagon, not out of dignity." He brushed the dirt from her dress, straightened her shoulders, and looked her in the eyes. "Now get up, walk with me, not because they expect it, but because you deserve it." The laughter faded, replaced by a stunned silence. Even the bridesmaids and groomsmen were speechless. They had assumed he would join in the ridicule, but instead, he lifted her as if she were weightless, carrying her with the kind of respect and love no one could deny. Clara's tears finally fell, but this time they were of relief. She stood tall beside him, holding his hand. The ceremony resumed, but something had shifted. Whispers of judgment turned into murmurs of admiration. Cole leaned in and whispered, "You are my bride, not the bride everyone expected, but the one I chose. Walk with me, not for them, but for us." And as they exchanged vows, Clara realized that true love wasn't about perfection or appearances. It was about respect, kindness, and the courage to lift each other when the world tried to knock you down. By the time they kissed, the chapel erupted not with laughter but with applause. For the first time, Clara understood that falling was never the end. Sometimes, it was just the moment someone extraordinary reached out to help you rise. The ceremony continued, but the air was different now. People who had laughed before were quiet, their eyes softened by the rancher's courage and Clara's quiet dignity. Even the minister seemed to sense the shift, speaking slowly as if every word mattered more than before. Clara straightened her dress and lifted her chin. She looked at Cole, the man who had not only caught her when she fell but had lifted her in more ways than one. His steady hands held hers, his eyes never leaving hers. She felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the summer sun or the chapel's hearth. It was trust, love, security. After the vows, as they walked down the aisle together, Clara felt the weight of every snicker and judgmental stare lift. She realized that nothing could touch her now, not ridicule, not whispers, not the cruel assumptions of strangers. Cole had shown her that she was enough exactly as she was. Later, outside the chapel, townspeople came forward one by one. Some whispered apologies, others offered smiles of encouragement. Children ran up to her, fascinated by the grand wedding dress and the way she had stood tall despite the fall. One little girl tugged at Clara's hand. "You're brave," the girl said. Clara knelt to meet her eyes. "Thank you, you can be brave too, always." Cole wrapped an arm around Clara, smiling proudly. "See, falling isn't the end, it's just the start of something stronger." As the sun began to set, casting golden light over the chapel and the dusty town square, Clara and Cole climbed onto the wagon, this time steady, strong, and together. The horses pulled them forward, not into embarrassment but into a future built on courage, respect, and unconditional love. And behind them, the townspeople watched quietly, learning an unspoken lesson. True strength and kindness have a way of silencing even the harshest laughter. Clara leaned into Cole, feeling his steady heartbeat. "Thank you," she whispered. He kissed her forehead. "No, thank you for trusting me enough to rise." That night, the stars shone brighter than ever, as if the universe itself was celebrating the bride who fell. and the man who made sure she would never fall alone again.